All right, let's start by going back in time. The year is 2012, and me and my best friend just set up a LAN party to play the most underrated shooter of all time, Battlefield 4. Our objective for the night? To recreate this scene. Yes, we actually did that. One guy sniped and another one spotted. Now let's skip to the present. I make a YouTube channel with my best friend and I get to do LAN parties every single day. It's actually pretty awesome. You guys should definitely check us out, hit the sub and see what we're doing here. Jump on the no-fill train before we blow this thing up like we know we will. Anyways, a new game is dropping. The excitement builds, but the pattern stops. You see, it's not Battlefield. It's fast, unique, fresh, but most importantly, fun. Breathing life into the stagnant FPS genre. And this shouldn't surprise us, because the same guys that are bringing you the finals brought you Battlefield. It is time. I can feel the old memories coming back and the new ones I'm gonna make just like I did in 2012. But there's a problem. A very big problem. And it's something that so many developers seem to not care that much about, but it ruins games. And it might ruin this beautiful flower that's in front of us. It's called the meta. And the finals has a big one. All right, here's my definition of meta. A weapon or strategy that is vastly superior to all other options. To not use said meta puts the player at a supreme disadvantage. You know, there's a lot of people that are going to have mixed opinions about the meta. So before we really can begin, I need to get all the people that don't mind the meta out of the dark and bring them over to the light. To do that, first we're going to start with an old nightmare you most likely have. So I apologize, but it's necessary. So I hope you're ready. Roll the clip. DMR Zone. This ruined an amazing game. I played for about 2 days. I know there are some people out there that did it longer. I tip my cap to you. I still don't understand how the COD developers let this go on for as long as they did, but they're paying for it now because this was 3 years ago. And ever since then, we've seen the steady decline of Warzone. Next, we can look at Overwatch last year with Roadhog. He had a hook and a chain more deadly than the fucking God of Wars. A hitbox so big, range so long, that the opposing player could be drunk, high, and asleep, and you knew he was still gonna hook you, put that sweet shotgun in your mouth, and before you even died, you had the game uninstalled. And when you know, Overwatch is dying. And the list doesn't end. AWP in Counter-Strike, Ashe and Jaeger in Siege, Wingman and Peacemaker in Apex, the Rivers of Blood Corpse Pilers spam in Elden Ring, the Hail Mary in Madden, the double pump from Fortnite. Okay, that one was actually kind of electric. We're gonna let that one slide. But the point is, metas kill games. And even if it doesn't kill the game, it brings down all the creativity and life that the game once had and the way the developers initially intended the game to be played. And unfortunately, right now, the heavy class in the finals is falling into that same trap. I really wish I could start this section and say the one thing that they need to change or the 3 things that they need to fix with this meta. I have 5. And the kicker is this one's even unique compared to other metas, and we're going to get into that at number 5. Coming in at number 1, it's the tacticals and gear. You see, finals is built on the destruction element of the game, and that's why it's seeing so much success. So they are off to a really good start, but we start to see a problem when we look at the medium class in the game. Right now, they have 0 ways to inflict destruction on the map. Then when we look at the heavy class, it has 3: the RPG, the C4, and its rush charge. So when you build a game that's centered around destruction and one of your classes has 0 and one has 3, you're really setting up a supreme disadvantage for one of the classes. Next, when we're looking at abilities, I'm not going to get into all of them. That would take too long. But the heavy class has 3 different abilities. All are viable. And I would argue the goo gun and their shield are the 2 best in the entire game. Number 2, their health pool. For the Overwatch players, let me ask you a question. Imagine you were any DPS of your choice, locked into a small room with one of the tanks. How would you like your chances? Probably not very good. The health pool is just way too drastic, and if the heavy gets 1 or 2 lucky shots, it's most likely it for you. Well, the finals, it's really not much different. The light and the heavy at 150 health points to 350, that's 2.5 times bigger for the heavy. This might work for Overwatch and the way the game was designed, but when you're playing a game with only 3 players on the team, I really don't think this is the way to go. Number 3 is movement. Movement is very important in any FPS shooter you're going to play, but it might be especially true in the finals based on just the way the game plays and the destruction and the verticality. So we're going to look at a side-by-side of a light and a heavy running. My first thoughts watching this is, yes, of course, the light is faster, but is it really enough? And that doesn't even include the fact that the heavy class has the rush charge, which I mentioned before, that pretty much makes up for any speed discrepancy they might have. Number 4 is weapons. Traditionally, in most shooters, the bigger weapons with a lot of rate of fire and a big magazine size are going to have a slightly lower damage to kind of compensate the two. In the finals, this isn't what we're seeing. The heavy class has all these big weapons with the big rate of fire and the magazine size, but their damage per second is kind of sitting right around where the other guns are as well. And then they have 3 different weapons, again, like their abilities that are completely viable with the sledgehammer, which is going to work in all the close buildings you're going to fight in, the flamethrower, which is just insane, and then the light machine gun. And compared to the medium class, that I would argue only has 1 viable weapon. This is giving the heavy class versatility and options that are going to make them so much more flexible compared to the other classes. And number 5, it's just too damn easy. I'm going to flash a conversation I had with one of my team members here at the channel that might give you guys a little more context before we jump into this. I doubt they will do anything about the heavy class because of a point I read. This guy was claiming that the skill floor in the game is so low because of the no aim assist that they will keep things like this so the casual player can still get some kills. To paraphrase, the game is less hard, so they made an easy player to use that is going to work really well. And I do understand where they're coming from. They don't want to see their game die. And it's not unprecedented. We've seen that happen with Fortnite, right? Fortnite got such a massive skill gap that eventually a lot of the lower skill players started to stop playing the game. But I would argue they face a different risk because right now the meta is so bad that it could ruin the game. So I would encourage them to look at a game like Rainbow Six Siege and get some hope from that. You see, Rainbow Six Siege is a game that is incredibly difficult and demanding, and it came out 10 years ago. It still has a really awesome competitive scene and a lot of players that really love the game. So the finals should stick to how they built the game and trust that fans like me and fans like you are going to love what they made. And they're in between a rock and a hard place right now. I get it. But they need to decide how they want to play this meta. They might be comfortable with the decision they've made, but I really hope they understand that metas kill video games and their game might be next on the list. All right, that's it for me today. This was Logistical Rick, one of the many members at NoFill. So if you like what our channel's doing, really this video isn't actually what we do at all often. We're usually doing some crazy gameplays with all of us in the house and a lot of energy, a lot of calm. So I really encourage you to subscribe. And like I said before, get on the NoFill chain before we really blow this thing up. So thanks for watching. Definitely hit the sub button. And if you want to see more of our content, you can click right here.